What is good? What is up? It's Jordan, or Texans Thoughts, and I'm back with another film breakdown. Today, we're going to be looking at a matchup between new Texans wide receiver Brandin Cooks and Saints cornerback Marshon Lattimore. We've got a very good all-around wide receiver in Cooks versus one of the best cornerbacks in the league, definitely top 10 for sure. These two have had some great fights over the years, and I wanted to look at their 2019 Week 2 matchup to try and get a pretty recent game of Cooks to show Texans fans what he's about. The point of these videos is to show that there's another story to be told than just looking at the box score and assuming who won a matchup based off of the stats. The film don't lie, and that's what I'm going to break down today. Now don't worry, I'm only going to be doing these types of videos on Wednesdays, whereas Tuesdays and Thursdays will still be Texans related videos. As for these videos though, let me know who you want to see next, whether it's wide receiver versus cornerback, O-line versus D-line, or even a safety versus tight end. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the video. Now, let's break down the film of Brandin Cooks versus Marshon Lattimore, because the film don't lie. So this first play I want to talk about is actually one of 3 man coverage reps of Marshon Lattimore directly on Brandin Cooks. And so you can see here they're in cover 2 man, and Marshon does a good job. Brandin Cooks takes this inside release, but Lattimore sticks with him the entire way, stride for stride, and that's hard to do. And I'm bringing this play up because, like I said, it's one of their few man coverage reps. And so I'll break down all those different splits later at the end of the video after the film, but just know that, okay, 1 man coverage rep by Marshon, and he wins this one. He doesn't get targeted, doesn't get even looked at, so that's a win for Marshon. Now, Brandin Cooks wants revenge. On the very next ensuing play, he's going deep yet again, and you can't guard me twice. Not going deep like that. He brings in the catch, and Marshon is burnt, man. He burnt like toast. He fried chicken out here, bro. Man, what a bomb. Great throw by Jared Goff. Brandin Cooks just showing off his elite deep threat ability. And I love the ball tracking by Brandin Cooks. So you're going to see that Goff leaves this throw a bit outside, but Cooks tracks it into his hands. Great catch. And Marshon may catch up to make this tackle here, but that's still a 57-yard bomb. So let's break down this play a little bit more here. The Saints are in cover 4. And so that means that Marshon Lattimore, he's going to be responsible for this deep quarter zone. And really, in quarters cover 4 like this, you're responsible for trying to not get beat over top, essentially. That's like your number 1 goal. You don't want to get beat, right? So look at the cushion that Lattimore is giving Cooks, and yet Cooks still eats it up. And what goes wrong for Lattimore here is that he doesn't turn and run quick enough, and his acceleration, he's not able to catch up with Cook's top speed. And obviously that's clear to see here, but my point is that he doesn't really have much of a back pedal, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's trying to turn and run at this point, and unless you have high level acceleration, that's not enough space to give yourself to turn and run with Brandin Cooks, who's one of the premier elite deep threats in the NFL. And I kind of get why Marshon is doing this, because even though he knows that Cooks is so good of a deep threat, he's trying to play the sticks here, right? Think about the situation. 3rd down and 16. If he turns and runs while giving Cooks even more space than this, even more of a cushion, then he's just opening himself up to a deep out route, deep dig, corner, post, whatever. The wide receiver would just have to make 1 cut, and then boom, it's all over. Because if you get the cornerback's hips turned the opposite direction of where you want to go, boom, it's so easy for you, especially when they're trying to run full speed to catch up with you, you know what I mean? And so Marshon's just in a really tough position here. He knows the personnel, he knows Brandin Cooks is an elite deep threat, but he's also just trying to play the sticks. This is early in the game. He might not be expecting a huge shot, right? But he would be expecting the Rams to just be going for the 1st down, so he's playing the sticks there. But it burns him there, and it's just such a thin line to walk, trying to play the sticks, but also being conservative and trying to stay over top. When you're dealing with elite speed like this, man, it's just so hard. If you're a fraction of a second off and he's got 1 step on you, it's over, man. It's over. There ain't nothing you can do. Now, there were a handful of these plays where Cooks and Lattimore are on the same side, and Cooks gets open here against this cover 3 zone, but Goff just never looks his way, and he doesn't even get a chance to make a play. And this play is a perfect example of exactly what I was talking about before. Marshon has this huge cushion on Cooks, and he starts to turn and run a little bit earlier this time because he's scared of that deep threat ability. But Cooks isn't running a go this time. He's running a curl route, and look how open he is because of how much space Marshon gives him. It's just too easy. But that is technically a win for Marshon Lattimore. He didn't allow a catch, and he doesn't allow a catch here as well. He does a lot better on this play to shut down the deep route here. This time you can see that big cushion, it helps when he does guess right, when it is a go route here. So another win for Marshon. Now this next play is the second of 3 man coverage reps between these two, and Brandin Cooks gets open on this out route. You'll see here that he gets enough space at the top of this route where it's going to be a tight throw, but that is an open throw and a makeable throw in the NFL. That's enough space for Brandin Cooks to work here. So how does he get open? Well, you'll see on the release, he stutters a little bit, then he hand fights there, and then at the top of the route, he's going to slightly push off. It's very subtle. He does extend the arm a little bit, but not enough to the point where you can call that pass interference. And it's those little subtleties that Cooks has in his game that help make him a great route runner. But yet again, this is another play where he's open, but Marshon doesn't allow a catch. And that's honestly a win for him. Now, there were a good amount of plays where they just didn't line up against each other. Marshon would always stick on this right side of the defense, and he would never follow Cooks around, unlike in my Ramsey versus Hopkins video last week. That's just not what the Saints wanted to do. And it's not like the Rams were scared of Lattimore. They just love to line up their wide receivers all over the field. And so obviously that does benefit Cooks. I mean, going up against Eli Apple is nothing like going up against Lattimore. And he wins on this out route really easily right here for his second catch of the day. Cooks was honestly cooking on these out routes. Here against Marshon this time in cover 3 zone, runs this out route perfectly, and he's open. He doesn't get thrown to yet again. I don't know what Goff is looking at. I mean, I guess they still get a catch here, but feed Cooks, man. Don't be scared of Lattimore. Cooks can beat him. But because he doesn't get a chance to, a dub for Marshon. Again here, lined up on the same side, cover 3 zone yet again, and Cooks is going to win on this post route, but Goff doesn't find him. There's pressure in his face and he's not able to get off a clean throw. So we're seeing again and again, like you see the theme here. Cooks, he's winning on these routes. He's open. So in my eyes, he's winning the matchup because he's doing what's asked of him, but because of an external factor that he can't control, which is Jared Goff being trash, Marshon gets another dub here. Now, for all the times I hated on Goff for not throwing to Cooks when he was open, he finally finds him here and he gets the pivotal touchdown to put the Rams up 20-6, 2-score lead, which they would never lose and end up winning the game. I just find it funny that Goff doesn't want to throw it to him when he's open, but when he's smothered, now you want to throw it to him? When he's absolutely blanketed like this? Oh my god, he gives him a decent throw, throwing it out in front of him so Cooks can snag it. That's good hands by him, good coverage by Marshon too. You have to give him credit. This is a tough catch for Cooks. Then go ahead, celebrate on him. Hey, let's go. So we've talked a lot about the final result of these plays and who wins, and that determining like who actually wins this, you know what I mean? So with this, giving up a touchdown on Marshon Lattimore's end, that's gonna lose him some points. And this is actually Brandin Cooks' last catch of the game. He finished with 3 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. Now really quickly, just in the fourth quarter, there wasn't a single play where Cooks was lined up against Lattimore. And like I've been saying before, I really just think that's about the Rams wanting to run their offense that way. I don't think they were scared of Lattimore because Cooks was beating them all day. They could see those on the replays. So now let's get into the verdict of who won this matchup. So before I make my final arguments and come down to the final verdict, let me know in the comments below who you think won. Was it Brandin Cooks or Marshon Lattimore? So since we've broken down the film, now we can use the stats as some extra measurements to help us figure out who won this matchup. So Brandin Cooks, he was targeted 4 times throughout the entire game. 2 of those targets came against defenders that weren't Lattimore, and 2 came against Marshon himself. Now, of those 4 targets, he had 3 catches. 1 was against non-Marshon defenders and 2 against Marshon. So like I mentioned, he had 74 yards in total, 15 of which came against other. It was his out route against Eli Apple, you see above. And then 59 against Marshon just on those 2 catches. And so at first glance, Cooks only had 3 catches in total and only 2 against Marshon. 2 catches for 59 yards. You know, I would think that's a dub for Marshon. He played well on him most of the game, limiting him to just 2 catches. Like, you would think that that's a really good game out of Marshon, and he did. He had his good reps where he played good coverage on Cooks. However, we also saw there were a lot of reps that Cooks got open where he won his one-on-one matchup and Goff just couldn't find him. But what's also important to note is basically the points that you're responsible for. Cooks, that first 57-yard bomb, that set the Rams up on the 10-yard line in great field position, which they ended up getting a field goal. And so, yeah, he's not technically responsible for the field goal, but he put them in position to be. And then even more directly, he had the touchdown. That 2-yard touchdown on the goal line, that's all him. He's responsible for that. So because he had those two big plays and because he was open so many times and he could have put up more yardage, he could have had a monster game. That's really got to be taken into consideration when you're looking at this entire matchup. So with all of that taken into consideration, I think the winner of this matchup is Brandin Cooks. Now call me a homer if you want, but I just think even though he might not have put up the craziest stat line, he was responsible for a lot of his team's points. They ended up getting the dub, and he was open on a lot of those plays that Goff just didn't find him. It's not like Marshon followed him around the field, shadowed him wherever he went, and played well on most of the snaps. Most of the snaps we saw, Cooks was winning. His deep threat ability really opened up some underneath routes and he was getting open. It looked pretty easy for him, to be honest, and I really think he won this matchup. It was close though. Let me tell you that, it was close. It was not as deciding as my last video with Hopkins versus Ramsey. It was very close because just giving up 2 catches for 59 yards, that's very good for a corner. That's very hard for them to do against a great wide receiver like Cooks. But I do think Cooks won this. Taking my Texans bias out of it, to be honest with you, that's going to be my final verdict. Alright, that'll do it for my Brandin Cooks versus Marshon Lattimore film breakdown. Don't agree with me? That's perfectly understandable. Let me know why in the comments below and we can talk it out. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the video. If you're still listening, you're a real one. I appreciate you. And the question of the day will be, do you think Brandin Cooks will have a comeback season with the Texans? I got a second question today for those Saints fans. Where do you think Marshon Lattimore ranks in the NFL as a cornerback? Top 3? Top 5? Top 10? Let me know. Also, I'm a part of Texans Unfiltered. I write articles with more Texans film breakdowns on our website, and we've got a weekly podcast on all your typical podcast platforms as well. So if you're itching for more Texans content, we got you. The links will be in the description. Appreciate any of y'all's support. Alright, this was Jordan or Texans Thoughts. Hope you enjoyed and come back for more videos every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Take care, everyone.